Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking what has absolutely been the most emotionally dramatic, pulse-pounding match of the entire World Cup tournament so far. We're talking about the United States' completely unforgettable 2-0 victory over Bosnia-Herzegovina. If you want to understand not just the final score, but the incredible, chaotic story behind it, you are in the exact right place. Their best striker scored, and then he got sent off. Just let that sink in for a second. It's the ultimate emotional whiplash. You're playing a crucial knockout game against a desperate team, the stakes literally couldn't be higher, and suddenly you're fighting for your tournament life down a man. Okay, let's dive right into this, because the way this American team responded to sudden crisis is nothing short of historic.
Section 1. 24 years in the making. The historic magnitude of the 2-0 victory.
Now, before we get into the tactical weeds of the red card and the final whistle, we really need to pause and talk about the sheer scale of this triumph. 24, that represents 24 long years. We are talking about an entire generation of American football fans who had never, ever seen the United States win a knockout match at a men's World Cup before this tournament. An entire generation waiting for a moment of knockout glory.
Jumping from 2002 all the way to 2026, this is only the second knockout victory in the entire history of the U.S. men's program. And they achieved it under the most intense pressure cooker circumstances imaginable. They didn't just win, they survived a nightmare scenario.
Section 2, Balogun's goal and red card, the turning point of the match. So how did we actually get to that point of survival? Well, from the opening whistle, the USA was firmly the better team. They were dictating the pace, controlling the pitch, and looking incredibly dangerous. But the match quickly centered around the absolute roller coaster performance of striker Balogun. First, he has an early goal disallowed. Then, brushing that off, he comes right back and scores the opening goal before halftime, his third of the tournament, with a really clinical, composed finish. But then comes a devastating VAR review. In the 64th minute, Balogun is shown a straight red card for dragging his cleats down the back of Bosnia-Herzegovina defender's Tarik Muharovic's leg and onto his foot. Just like that, the hero of the first half is gone.
Now, as you might expect, this ejection was highly contested. Manager Mauricio Pochettino noted that Balogun was deeply sad and disappointed in the locker room afterward. But Pochettino strongly defended his striker, stating point-blank to the press, "For me, never is it a red card." It was a hugely controversial decision that completely flipped the script of the match in an instant.
And to put this into historical context, Balogun became the first player since Zinedine Zidane in the legendary 2006 World Cup final to score a goal and get a red card in the exact same World Cup game. That is a wild statistic. To share a statistical quirk with Zidane in a World Cup knockout game perfectly captures just how extreme and unforgettable Balogun's performance actually was.
Section 3. 10 men and a dream. Surviving the final half hour.
So, with their top scorer ejected, the pace of the game changed entirely. Imagine the sudden, heavy silence falling over the American fans in the stadium. The U.S. lost their primary attacking threat and suddenly had to drop back and dig incredibly deep defensively to protect a very fragile 1-0 lead. 30 minutes. That is a grueling, exhausting amount of time to play down a man in a World Cup knockout match against a team absolutely desperate for an equalizer. But despite this massive disadvantage, the U.S. defense held firm. In fact, they held so exceptionally firm that Bosnia-Herzegovina failed to do enough to even warrant finding the back of the net. The American low block became an absolute fortress.
And that brilliantly sets up the emotional climax of the match. In the 82nd minute, with an exhausted U.S. team desperately clinging to that lead, Malik Tillman stepped up to a crucial free kick, and he curled it gorgeously past the Bosnian wall right into the top corner to seal the 2-0 victory. As Tillman said afterward, "I've been dreaming about maybe taking a free kick and scoring a free kick." He delivered on a lifelong dream in the most high-stakes, breathless moment imaginable.
Section 4. Next up, facing Belgium. The Balogun problem.
But as the celebrations fade, we have to sharply pivot our focus to the massive strategic implications of this match. The immediate problem is the looming suspension of Fuller and Balogun for the upcoming round of 16. It is the million-dollar question staring American fans in the face right now. Can the USA win without their most important attacker? It's a terrifying prospect on paper for sure, but we've actually seen this team answer a very similar question recently. Think back to how this roster had to survive against Australia without an injured Christian Pulisic. They found a way then, can they find a way now?
Defender Chris Richards actually summed up the team's confident, unbreakable mentality perfectly. He said,
One man's down, the next guy steps up. I think people were asking the same question when Christian went down. We're definitely a team. We're more than just one player. This really proves that this American roster relies on a collective resilience, a deep brotherhood, rather than just a single star player carrying the entire load.
But hey, let's be very real for a second about the terrifying momentum of their next opponent. On July 6th, in front of a home crowd in Seattle, they face Belgium. And Belgium just pulled off a miraculous comeback of their own. Down 2-0 against Senegal, they scored twice in the final 4 frantic minutes of regulation and then 1 in extra time. They're going to be a completely different, ferociously difficult test for this U.S. squad.
So, here's where we leave things. No Pulisic against Australia, they won anyway. Down to 10 men for 30 grueling minutes in a knockout match, they won anyway. So what happens against Belgium on July 6th? With a roaring home crowd in Seattle and an apparently unbreakable team spirit, will that be enough to conquer a surging Belgium without America's top scorer? Thank you so much for exploring this explainer with me today, and I'll leave you with this thought. Is this American team truly destined for the impossible, or have they finally run out of miracles?